Taxation, that depressing but constant reality on the minds of everyone.
On a particular spot might turn out to be a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Mayor Ogi for Dateline 360.
It is obvious that's a negative relationship between taxes and business.
The government in bringing the
Bayelsa people appreciate the federal government over integrated development in the Niger Delta, as the acting president received delegation on brass fertilizer project. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo seeks Senate approval for the 2016-2018 external borrowing plan. On special assignment, correspondent on the menace of fake news on the social media. Welcome to this edition of NTA Network News with me, Muhammad Kuda Abubakar. The federal government has been commended for its new approach to pursuing integrated development in the Niger Delta region based on partnership and collaboration. Stakeholders in the region are of the view that the policy is opening doors for investors and is creating a boom to the local economy as well as jobs for the youths. This was when acting President Yemi Osinbajo received a delegation from the Bayelsa state led by the governor, Siriake Dixon, in respect of a proposed brass fertilizer and petrochemical project expected to be established in the state. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
The new approach, which acting President Yemi Osinbajo restated as the new vision, involves an active and effective collaboration among the government, the private sector, and the communities. Lamenting that only 12% completion rate was recorded in several of the projects undertaken by the Niger Delta Development Commission in the past years, while the rest were abandoned, acting President Osinbajo was of the view that sometimes projects are designed not to succeed, but for other ulterior motives. The Buhari administration, the acting president said, is committed to finishing whatever it starts. The brass fertilizer and petrochemical project, as explained by Governor Siriake Dixon, is an evidence of the success of the numerous interactions between acting President Yemi Osinbajo as an emissary of President Buhari and the people of the Niger Delta region.
And there's a lot of new understanding coming, which is good for stability and security, and which will promote development. It's when we create jobs, when we bring in big ticket investments and then create jobs and people have things to do and we affect the economy positively and create other legitimate options through which young people can survive. Some of the crises you see here will be addressed. And this is a good way to begin to address that.
The governor observes that the two policies the federal government is embarking on in the region, the modular refinery and the appeal to oil companies to have their offices in the Niger Delta region, are bringing back hope of a brighter day for the people.
The federal government has said they should go back, so we expect to work with the federal government, we expect to engage with all the oil-producing companies to see how they can begin to have respectable presence to address the perception of neglect of the people, which is legitimate.
Similarly, the acting president received a delegation from the Seed Entrepreneurs Association of Nigeria and emphasized government's commitment to food security. Acting President Osinbajo assured the delegation that the federal government would do much more in the area of agriculture, stressing that fertilizer and seed inputs are vital for the agricultural revolution that the Buhari administration is delivering. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
In the meantime, as Nigeria moves towards agricultural development and food sufficiency, adequate storage facilities to minimize wastages has been identified as imperative. Minister of State for Agriculture, Senator Heineken Rekpobe, stated this when he assessed the proposed 100,000 metric ton silo project at Igbogene, Yenagoa. The project has been under construction for several years. Bright Ebocho has the report.
The silos is one of several silos constructed as pilots across the country. When completed, it will aid in long-term storage of grains such as rice, beans, maize, soya beans, millet and wheat during the period of surplus. It was also conceived as a backup plan to preserve excess grains in anticipation of unseen disaster such as drought, bad harvest or flood. Minister of State for Agriculture, Senator Heneke Lokbobiri, was briefed by the Director Strategic Grain Reserve, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Shehu Bello, who said the project, which commenced in 2009, has not progressed much.
Post-harvest losses, account for over 50% of, what is produced, in this country. And we want to, as a government, try to see how we can reduce that, loss, to the barest minimum.
The project manager, Uren Sterling Engineering Limited, Otun Abiodun, explained that work was stalled since 2012 because the soil required piling to hold up the proposed 100,000 metric ton silo.
You have to be cost conscious and make sure that whatever you do, you are going to have value for the solution you have provided.
We're told to hold on for a review of the design of the site. The instruction from them was what held the site in the position it is as of today.
The Strategic Grains Reserve Silo projects can contribute to a lasting solution to food crisis in the country. In Yenegua, Bright Ebochu, NTA News.
Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has sought approval of the Senate for external borrowing plan for 2016 to 2018 as approved by the Federal Executive Council. National Assembly correspondent Wazir Zayano reports that the $1.5 billion loan is meant for projects in 10 states of the Federation.
The acting president's letter was read by the Senate President Bukola Saraki.
The affected states and the list of projects are as follows. Kaduna State Development Policy Operation, DPO, Kaduna State, $250 million. Ogun State Development Policy Operation, $350 million. Ebonyi Ring Road Project, which is to be co-financed with Islamic Development Bank, Ebonyi, $70 million.
The Senate also condemned poor service delivery by GSM network operators in Nigeria following a motion by Senator Andy Uba representing Anambra South. The legislative body directed the Nigerian Communications Commission to look into the exploitation of customers through drop calls by GSM operators.
Operators in the telecommunication industry have not invested substantially on their network to improve the quality of service rendered, a clear case of investment not keeping pace with contemporary needs.
There are many locations that they have claimed to provide services, but those services are so epileptic.
The Senate, in its own wisdom, should act decisively to save Nigerians from the plunder, the exploitation, the thievery that has become GSM services in Nigeria today.
In a motion on the just celebrated World Environment Day, Senator Remi Tinubu, Lagos Central, called on governments at all levels to create a feasible framework for realization of protection of the environment under the Sustainable Development Goals.
The Senate is concerned that these environmental issues have widespread effects on the economy, health, and social well-being of the people.
We know that when we maintain a good environment, it's not something that will benefit our generation or the current world. It's something that will have a great impact on the future world.
The Senate resolved to accelerate passage of the Erosion Prevention and Control Bill as well as other related bills. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
Still at the National Assembly, the House of Representatives has expressed worries over the increasing cases of piracy in Nigeria's creative industry. As a result, the legislators are considering a bill that seeks to amend the Nigerian Copyright Act for stiffer penalties and fines for any contravention of the law. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
Piracy remains a bottleneck in an effort to reposition Nigeria's creative industry as a major player in the nation's diversification drive. Worried by this, members of the House of Representatives are considering a bill that seeks to protect intellectual property. The bill is sponsored by Representative Bid Eke from Imo State.
to provide for stiffer penalties for contravenance of the Act, which will in turn serve as a deterrent.
Our young men and women to go into this industry, there is a need to strengthen our copyright laws.
In other climes, a producer of a movie can empower a lot of people because their legislations are protective.
It appears 95% of the constitutions that we now use in Nigeria are all fake.
Members advised the Budget Office of the Federation to always ensure strict compliance with the provisions of the Fiscal Responsibility Act in the disbursement and monitoring of annual budgets. This followed a motion moved by Representative Kingsley Chinda.
The Minister shall, within 30 days of the enactment of the Appropriation Act, prepare and publish a disbursement schedule.
And it's our duty to compel, the agents of the government to make sure they do the right thing.
The issue of health came on the floor as members stressed the need to evaluate the effect of withdrawal of funding of HIV drugs by international donors as moved by Representative Sergio Sogun.
And for the benefit of this vulnerable group, urge the government to vote funds so that we can produce antiretroviral drugs in the country to support this group of people.
A motion on the need for the federal government to address the increasing prices of cement was adopted as moved by Representative Abubakar Yunusa from Gombe State. The House received an executive communication from the acting president Yemi Osinbajo seeking the approval of the legislators to separate state projects from other items listed in the 2016 to 2018 external borrowing plan for accelerated consideration.
Attached hereto is the list of state loans under reference. Honorable Speaker, please accept the assurances of my highest regards.
9 bills were passed at first reading. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Unko, NTN.
The objective behind the federal government's Health and Nutrition Emergency Response Project in Borno State is to provide life-saving services to the displaced persons and their host communities. Midway into the implementation, Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, was in the state to ascertain the impact of the intervention as well as identify gaps militating against the implementation. Health correspondent Rabi Abdallah has the report.
The insurgency in the northeast is one that had debilitating effects on the health of the people. Borno is considered the state that is worst hit with malnutrition among children as one of these critical areas. The urgent need to address the situation led to the adoption of the Health and Nutrition Emergency Response Project at a cost of over 4 billion naira. The health minister proceeded on field assessment. The stock at the state central drug store indicates sufficiency.
The drugs that we brought to Borno will last them for 2 years, and we are quite confident that extending it will not be as expensive as the initial flag off. What we need is to keep the personnel human resources going.
So that also complements the effort that is being done by the federal government.
We have a health sector coordinating meeting in the state.
A visit to the IDP's camp in Ingala, an outskirt of Maiduguri, made it possible to feel the pulse of the people. As Borno finds succor in the project, the situation, health experts say, also beckon on other sectors for interventions that would address water and sanitation challenges in order to prevent disease outbreaks. Rabi Abdallah, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android devices at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Still to come, all is set for the digital switchover in Kwara State, the North Central Zone, this June. Details of these and more after this break.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed in ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stopped importing corn and other grains, Nigeria would have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds pitch by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright.
There's no limit to what you can do with data with Nigeria's widest data network. It's amazing what you can make happen on MTN.
This is my message to you.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights.
How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
Hey, now who they here? My name now Mr. Shortcut. I dey mind my money. Now cheap one, I dey buy. Standard, we sign. Now to buy cheap one. Hey, now one kind cable for my yard. A cheap building material where we take build my office. I think say I dey save money. Office building collapse and fire burn my house.
You don't see what happened to Mr. Shortcut? Well, Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, don't ready for action and say enough of pain, loss and wastage. And if you see product where no dey correct, call the SON office where near you or SON help desk. Standards Organization of Nigeria, improving life through standards.
The new Cowbell Choco formula has been stolen. Get it back at all costs.
Great tasting new Cowbell Choco gives you the get up and go to be at the top of your game. Now with Vitarich Plus Iron. New great tasting Cowbell Choco, a creamy chocolatey drink that helps give energy to get up and go.
The Future Assured project of the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari, is carrying out free medical screening and distribution of food items at various IDP camps while ensuring the economic empowerment of women through training and skill acquisition. In recognition of her efforts, wives of governors have lent their voices and support.
In Kogi State, we feel the impact of Future Assured, especially in women and children.
The Future Assured program of Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, the wife of the president, has been very assuring and still reassuring in Sokoto State. It has impacted positively in the areas of humanity, especially women and children.
Supports the Future Assured initiative. Email programs@futureassured.org.ng. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant. To achieve our creed as we promise, we shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris.
Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility.
This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
Thank you for remaining with NTA Network News. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has stressed that Nigeria remains one of the most profitable places in the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS sub-region, for business and investment. Acting President Osinbajo stated these while exchanging views with the Foreign Minister of Indonesia, Mrs. Retno Marsudi, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Professor Osinbajo pointed out that with her large population and size, Nigeria has a prerequisite market for profitable returns on any investment and business. Citing the success of Indomie, one of the products by an Indonesian company in the Nigerian market, Professor Osinbajo says there is much room to increase the volume of trade between Nigeria and Indonesia. The acting president says Indonesia should take advantage of the ongoing economic diversification process, especially in the agricultural sector, noting that Nigeria could be exporting agro-allied products to Indonesia. Foreign Minister of Indonesia, Mrs. Marsudi, says she is in the country with 200 businessmen and people and have visited Lagos. She noted that her country is ready to strengthen business relationship with Nigeria. Mrs. Marsudi also solicits the establishment of a palm oil producing council between Nigeria and Indonesia, stressing that countries producing palm oil should work together in order to benefit maximally from the market. All is now set ahead of the proposed June deadline for the digital switchover in Kwara State in the north central geopolitical zone of the country. Director General of the NBC, Nigeria Broadcasting Commission, Iskak Modibukawu, announced this while inspecting facilities at the Integrated Television Service, ITS, installed by the digital switchover. Abdulwahid Bibiri has details. Rajad will bring you that story much later. Moving on now, what do you make of the piece of information at your disposal at any particular time, especially when you doubt the platform? The issue of fake news appears to have become a source of concern not only to the governments, but also the governed the world over. It is more worrisome when a supposed news medium chooses to name the name fake news. Adebola Brookston Sunday takes a look at the trend which is becoming a threat to socio-economic and political stability of nations across the world.
Fake news is linked to what is known as yellow journalism. The aim is to deliberately misinform the public via the media platforms, either to grab attention, malign someone's image, or heat up the polity.
Sometimes just to create viewership.
There's actually saying the negative or positive aspects of a given story.
Over the past year, fake news has vigorously spread, especially across the social media platforms. This is what observers say is being generated by mischief makers.
This is one of the negative effects of the information age that we are in.
Before the advent of the internet and social media, news read on the pages of newspapers, watched on television, or aired on radio is considered sacred and the whole truth. But today, the situation has changed.
Especially because there is the natural urge in young Facebook and other social media users to always be the first to tell a story
We're going to have to regulate those, but that has to be regulated in such a way that it's seen not to hamper people's freedom of speech, their rights.
The I and the Law had been victims of the new media sensation. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, had to deny the rumored death of President Muhammadu Buhari in a tweet, saying the reports were baseless rumors. Similarly, the daughter of Angolan President Isabel dos Santos dismissed the reports that was preceded by false ill health. In the same vein, the office of the former Ghanaian president, in a press release, denied the rumored death of former President Jerry Rawlings.
In my lifetime, and I'm fairly old now, I have not heard where people will be jubilating that your own head of state is dead. It's unbelievable, it's unpardonable, and it's not correct. I don't know from where it is coming from. But if we go back to history, you remember the people who celebrated that Zig was dead. They died before him.
Somebody's father, people should mind what they say. Because I know the family too, I know they'll be touched seeing obituary, which is not true.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, had earlier urged Nigerians to be extra vigilant in the view of the worsening cases of fake news being spread by unscrupulous persons with the aim of destabilizing the polity and causing disunity in the country.
These developments, analysts say, require the need for journalism to restore trusts and develop a reliable business model. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Thank you, Adebola, for that report. The Federal Civil Service staff with disabilities, the Multipurpose Cooperative Society, has concluded plans to construct an ultra-modern rehabilitation center for physically challenged persons in Gwagwalada Area Council of Abuja. Handing over the building plan to an indigenous developer, Chairman Rehabilitation Committee of the Society, Ilyasu Abdul Rauf, noted that the rationale behind the construction is to support the physically challenged persons in the society through skills acquisition and manpower development. This, he said, is crucial for productivity and social integration.
The Ultramarine Center comprises of skill acquisition center. It's not only to just come and dump them here. They have to be doing something. Some of them are very good in shoe making. Some of them are very good in bead making. Some of them, they are welders. There are a lot of skill we can get from them.
Funds for the project are to be accessed through development partners and the 3 tiers of government. The project is expected to be replicated throughout the country. Wife of the President, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, returned to the country from the United Kingdom Tuesday morning after visiting her husband, President Muhammadu Buhari, who is on medical vacation. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir reports that Mrs. Buhari says President is recuperating very fast.
On arrival, the wife of the president conveyed the appreciation of President Muhammadu Buhari to Nigerians for their constant prayers and support, adding that he will soon be with them as he is recuperating very fast.
I thank God for my safe trip where I visited my husband in the UK. He's doing well, much better than he left Nigeria. And also, he thanks Nigerians for their constant prayers.
Mrs. Buhari also called on Nigerians to continue to be strong in the face of challenges and to support the federal government in implementing the change agenda. The wife of the president, who traveled to UK last week, told journalists that the president thanked the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, for his steadfastness and called on Nigerians to continue to support the acting president in his effort to actualize the mandate of the APC.
He's soliciting for Nigerians' prayers, their cooperation and support of the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
Mrs. Buhari was accompanied by her aides and other family members. From the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
Time now for more reports from our Lagos Network Center with Jennifer. Over to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Kudu. Good evening and a warm welcome to Lagos.
The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos today held that a prosecution witness cannot give opinion evidence in the trial of the former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu. Justice Idris Mohammed said this while ruling on an objection raised by the counsel to the former governor, Awa Kalu SAN. Vera Chimuba reports.
The EFCC had on the 31st of October 2016 preferred a 34-count charge against the former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu. The charge is brought on 3.2 billion naira fraud against the former governor and his former commissioner for finance, Ude Udogo. Also charged is a company, Slok Nigeria Limited. The accused persons had pleaded not guilty. EFCC prosecutor Rotimi Jacobs had led the fourth witness, Romanus Madu, on evidence in chief. Madu, a permanent secretary in the Abia State Government House, had told the court that he did not authorize a statement requesting the sum of 30.8 million naira bank draft in the course of his duties as a cashier in the Abia State Government House in 2005. He had identified his name on the document but said he was not the one who wrote it. Attempt by the prosecutor for the witness to do a comparison of signature to determine if it was his attracted objection by the defense on the ground that the practice was contrary to the provisions of the Evidence Act. Ruling on the arguments of the counsel, Justice Idris Mohammed held that the sole question was whether a witness can give opinion evidence. The court held that expert opinion of handwriting expert is an integral part of the law governing evidence. He therefore sustained the objection and the witness was shown the exhibit, an account statement which was admitted as exhibit. Further hearing continues tomorrow, the 7th of June. In Lagos, Vera Chimuba, NTA News.
Resource persons from various sectors of the economy have applauded the present administration's drive to improve the ease of doing business in Nigeria. They believe that with aggressive implementation of the executive orders, the Nigerian economy will be made buoyant. This was at a conference organized by Women in Management, Business and Public Service, WIMBASE. Annie Daniels reports that the theme is Ease of Doing Business, a policy dialogue on regulation.
Nigeria presently is ranked 169th out of 190 countries and the 37th in Africa on the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index. This perhaps informed the present administration's launch of an economic growth and recovery plan. This is with the aim of reversing the ranking. To achieve the initiative, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council aid was charged with the responsibility of removing critical bottlenecks and bureaucratic constraints that impede doing business in Nigeria. Resource persons at this forum applauded this giant step by the federal government, but we are quick to point out that ease of doing business in Nigeria can only be achieved when factors like infrastructure, access to finance are given adequate attention.
Power transportation is very, very important. If we can get this right, I'm sure everything will be okay. If we sort out the structures that we need at the platforms to make it easier to do business, then collecting taxes would be a walk in the park.
They unanimously agreed that until government and governance improve the living standard of the governed and having the right people in key leadership positions, the dream of attracting investors to the country may not be realized soon.
Transparency in governance processes, demystifying governance is key and critical to achieving ease of doing business.
Women in Management, Business and Public Service, WIMBASE, is a non-governmental organization. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
Now, stakeholders and operators in the maritime industry in Nigeria have been assured of improved service delivery and customer satisfaction across the nation's seaports. The Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, NPA, Hadiza Bala Usman, gave the assurance at the official launch of the Go Live Provisional Final Billing and Customer Portal Models of Revenue Invoice Management Systems by the NPA.
The Go Live Provisional Final and Throughput Fee Billing System is the last phase of revenue and invoice management systems introduced by the Nigerian Ports Authority in 2015. It is a convergent and real-time platform aimed at improving efficiency, accuracy, transparency, accountability, and minimize human interventions that will engender high productivity and profitability. The Managing Director, Nigerian Ports Authority, Hadizabala Usman, says the platforms are fully integrated with solutions to speed up processes by way of automation and enhance improved operational efficiency.
The benefits that will accrue from this include improved customer service delivery, easy access to customer account status, viewing of all transactions and status in respect of bills, electronic upload of manifest, e-invoicing and e-receipt generation.
The platform, MPA Management says, is a single window project being undertaken in collaboration with other government agencies at the nation's ports.
It is important to inform you that we have integrated this application with our sister agency, Nigerian Customs Service, in order to ensure that the electronically uploaded manifest in the authorities' side is validated for accuracy and completeness. Processes such as change of agencies, requests for saving certificates, utilization of credit balances and consolidation of accounts has also been automated.
Operators, management say, can now upload their manifest as well as monitor their bills through the new platform.
You're still on to NTA Network News. More reports ahead. Well, first, some messages. Stay with us.
Debt Management Office, DMO, on behalf of the Federal Government of Nigeria, is offering the general public an opportunity to invest and contribute to national development through the Federal Government of Nigeria's Savings Bond. Investment in the FGN Savings Bond will lead to poverty reduction and create employment opportunities. FGN Savings Bond have attractive features: guaranteed fixed income, quarterly interest payment, use of investment as collateral for loans, can be sold at the secondary market, good for savings towards school fees, marriage and house projects. Please visit www.dmo.gov.ng, your stockbroker or financial advisor. FGN Savings Bond for national development. This message is from the Debt Management Office.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Winning in hot and dry conditions is hard. Causes the body to sweat, which attracts germs that are easily passed from one person to another. What keeps you so cool, man? Dettol Cool combines Dettol's protection and an invincible icy feel. For super cool confidence, use Dettol Cool.
How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
Cadbury Bournvita now comes in an attractive new 500-gram refill pack. Simply open and reseal after use to retain the chocolatey and creamy taste. Cadbury Bournvita. Prepare to win.
The Administrative Staff College of Nigeria hereby invites accountants, auditors, finance officers, treasurers, budget officers, treasury officers in charge of federal pay offices and other officers involved in treasury management in federal, state, and local government and other government-owned agencies on its National Workshop on Treasury Single Account, TSA. Date Monday 17th July to Friday 21st July 2017. Venue Ascom Complex, Tupu Badagry. Workshop fees 75,000 naira per participant. Bank account Ascom e-collection account. Account number 023-005586-1019. For more inquiries, please contact Workshop Director G.A. Afolanyo on 08033182344 or Workshop Coordinator E.S. Adeboye on 08074285797. Announcer Director General Ascom.
Thank you for remaining with the NTA. In the spirit of Ramadan, about 200 tons of dates have been donated to the internally displaced persons, IDPs, in the northeast geopolitical zone by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Minister of State Foreign Affairs Khadija Bukar Abba Ibrahim received the consignment of dates on behalf of the federal government. Gabriel Odu has the report.
Phoenix dactylifera, commonly known as date, is an edible sweet fruit with high nutritional value, replenishes calories, contains vitamins and minerals, good for growth, development, and overall well-being. The donation of 200 tons of dates by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to IDPs, the minister said, is very timely given the holy month of Ramadan.
To use this opportunity to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria for this very, very generous gift. There's already a very strong bilateral relationship between Nigeria and Saudi Arabia, and this even makes it stronger.
Saudi Arabia is the third largest producer of dates after Egypt and Iran. In Abuja, Gabriel Udu, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force says it will not relent in providing health and humanitarian services to the internally displaced persons in the northeast geopolitical zone. This was reiterated as the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, received cartons of noodles donated by a company to the IDPs. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma reports.
This humanitarian intervention by the Air Force is receiving support as demonstrated with the donation of 4,000 cartons of noodles by a food processing company. The Chief of Policy and Plans, Air Vice Marshal James Boom, received the items on behalf of the Chief of Air Staff.
Without a soft approach, which we call in the military winning hearts and minds, you will never make any headway in fighting terrorism. Because if the people in that environment are not happy with you, they will never devour any information to you. And you cannot fight guerrilla warfare or terrorism without having HUMIT, that is human intelligence.
He felt as a corporate citizen to really help in the effort and partner with them to make sure that we can also be a means to help the people who have been suffering a lot.
Before now, malnutrition has been a challenge faced by internally displaced persons in many camps in the northeast. In Abuja, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas has assured that the recommendations of the investigative panel into the recent Nigerian naval officers and Nigerian police fracas in Calabar will be fully implemented to prevent the reoccurrence of such incident. He stated this in Calabar shortly after an assessment visit to the scene of the incident. Umar Basi Edet completes the story. We'll bring the story later as Nigeria intensifies the campaign against terrorism and other security challenges. The nation's armed forces is enhancing the capacity of its senior officers with respect to national security and development for strategic decision-making. This came to the fore as participants of the National Defense College, Course 25, embarked on a world study tour. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkuma, who was on the commandant's team, tells us more.
This is Kigali, the capital city of Rwanda, 23 years after the 1994 genocide. Participants of the NDC Course 25 is using Rwanda as a case study for its term paper on post-conflict development. The Commandant, National Defense College, Rear Admiral Samuel Ilesami-Alade, who was in Rwanda during the genocide, led the delegation to the Kigali Genocide Memorial to reflect on the period and the avenues explored in achieving peace and stability, as well as the role of the military in the process.
Thank God today that Rwanda has come to a level where so many countries have to take example from. There's one unique aspect of this development in Rwanda, and that has to do with fundamental issue of national identity. This is one aspect that so many countries should learn from.
The Commandant also met with the Rwandan Chief of Defense Staff, General Patrick Iyavumba, while the course participants received briefing from Brigadier General Chris Morari at the Defense Headquarters on the various operations by the Rwandan Armed Forces on national security. The NDC delegation took out time to visit the Nigerian High Commission in Kigali, where they were received by the Acting High Commissioner, Manga Garba Bello. Isaac Unkuma, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy inaugurated the first World College. Mina in our Port Harcourt Network Center has that story. Over to you, Mina.
Thank you, Kudu. Good evening and welcome to Port Harcourt. The first Naval World College has been established in Ubima River State to provide specialized training for the Nigerian naval personnel across the country. Kingsley Amajoro reports that the Chief of Defense Staff, General Gabriel Olonisaki, inaugurated the college.
The Naval War College Ubima has provisions for instructional halls, accommodation, medical facilities, administration block, among others. Being the first of its kind in the country, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Ebok Ete Iba says it was carefully designed to provide the right atmosphere conducive enough to enhance the competence and productivities of its personnel and trainees. Chief of Defense Staff, who inaugurated the college, said the Nigerian Navy has made a bold statement of its readiness to reposition its workforce in the areas of training, research and development.
The Navy has relentlessly engaged in massive overhaul of operational support structure, intervening decisive in such core areas as fleet recapitalization, reactivation, and platform operational sustenance.
NTA News gathered that the first intakes are expected to kickstart their programs by July this year. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, in Rivers State, says it has tracked down 8 suspects, arrested 4 vehicles, 3 trucks, and a barge loaded with illegally refined automated gas oil and kerosene. Again, Kingsley Amajiri reports that the latest arrest followed various operations carried out by the anti-vandal unit.
4 of the vehicles contain refined automated gasoline oil, AGO, and dual-purpose kerosene, DPK, stored in polythene bags and hidden in the boots of the vehicle, while the 3 of the trucks contain various quantities of alleged adulterated AGOs. The command further disclosed that the barge with 8 compartments arrested within the NLNG jetty Eastern Bypass were loaded with products but without any suspects.
The products they are carrying, I think, is estimated to value about 32 million. We are going to prosecute them.
One of the suspects arrested in connection with the trucks alleged that he was just a heavy-duty mechanic whose services were sought for. NTA News reports, however, that the vandals appears unrelenting despite spirited efforts by different security agencies to stop the activities of illegal oil bunkering and refining. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
That's a bit from Port Harcourt. Kudu is back to you for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Mina. In the meantime, more than $70 billion accrues to the federal government coffers as foreign direct investment from the 3 free trade zones within the last 3 years. Vivian Idekbefo has details of this and the capital market report.
Have you join us on the business news at this time.
The federal government has injected 50 billion naira in the 2017 budget for infrastructure development at the free trade zones as part of measures to upscale operations to global standards. Managing Director of Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority, NIPZA, Emmanuel Jime, who spoke with Business News, said government is committed to closing existing gaps by providing the support needed by investors to operate optimally.
In our agency, we're really happy about this because it then means that NEBZA will now be in a better place, to cut down on red tape and make sure that the processes of licensing serious bodies that intend, to participate in this higher economy, that we can shorten, the process in such a way that in less than, 2 weeks, we're able to license.
Foreign direct investment into the free trade zones hit $70 billion within the last 3 years. Operators of Bureau de Change, BDC, have commended the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, for improving liquidity at the interbank segments of the markets, which has led to ease of access to foreign currencies by end users. Those who spoke with our correspondent urged the CBN not to relent in policies that will further strengthen the economy.
It is for our agencies, the authorities responsible, to come in to help CBN Airport so that they will make sure such depreciation in the value is reflecting in our daily life, so that the masses will have, they will regain their own confidence and the courage they have in this administration.
It has helped the price of the dollar to come down, because before dollar we are buying dollar 520. Now look at the price, has come down to 361.62. So the margin between CBN and our price is only 1 naira, as the CBN has given us that policy that the margin shouldn't be exceed 1%, 2%.
If you notice, we are beginning to see signs of the economy recovering, and that's partly attributable to the fact that the forex market is experiencing improved liquidity.
Meanwhile, the CBN spokesperson Isaac Okorafor has confirmed that the Apex Bank will not relent in interventions until a convergence of rates is achieved.
We are determined to sustain supply of forex to the market, and we have proved it, and we are continuing to do it.
The CBN has so far injected more than $1 billion in the foreign exchange market since February. And still on the financial market, stocks on the Nigerian Stock Exchange halt a 9-day gaining streak as the all-share index drops by 1.16% to close at 32,200.38 basis points. The NSE recorded a 3.85% appreciation in the previous session. Its year-to-date returns currently stands in the green at 19.82%. Market breadth closed positive with 38 gainers against 22 losers, while the volume traded also closed positive, moving up by 16.33% against a downward 9.59% in the previous session. That does it on the business news at this time. The bulletin continues shortly.
Indeed, we still have global tidbits, sports update, and weather prospects after this timeout. Stay with the NTA.
This week on Tuesday Live, the focus is on democratizing sports in the country, the impending election into Sports Federation. Tuesday Live, incisive, informative, and educative. Join us.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property.
This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC as an agency is indeed doing so much to protect the health of our nation. I urge everyone to support NAFDAC in ridding the country of fake drugs and unwholesome products.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Time now for stories from the international scene. And Ibrahim Also Adamu has it on Global Tidbits.
A man has been shot by police outside the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris after he tried to attack an officer using a hammer, police say. The suspect has been wounded in the chase, while officials are treating the incident as a terrorist act. About 900 people were inside the cathedral. Report from London says the third Islamic militant who carried out an attack on Saturday in London that killed 7 people is a Moroccan called Yusuf Zagba. An intelligence source on Tuesday says Zagba was stopped at Bolanga Airport in 2016 when he was trying to fly to Syria via Turkey. Qatar is backing plans for talks with its regional rivals as diplomatic row gathers pace. Kuwait, one of the countries not involved in the dispute, has offered to mediate talks, and Qatar says it is receptive to the dialogue. Already, 6 countries have severed diplomatic ties with Qatar on Monday. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed credit for the pressure being placed on Qatar by Gulf neighbors who accuse it of supporting terrorism in the region. He made the claim in a tweet. Elsewhere in Congo, report says the country has 2 days to hit to UN calls jointly investigate violence in Kasai province, else it risks having an international human rights inquiry imposed upon it. UN Human Rights Chief Zaid Rael Al-Hussein disclosed this. Report says the situation in Kasai province continued to deteriorate, spreading to other provinces across the border with Angola. Adwa Demwalso, NTA News.
Kene Magudike is here with the sport update.
21 Super Eagles had their first training session at the training pitch of the Goswell Ababio International Stadium Oyo Tuesday. John Paul Alumina reports that the technical advisor of the team, Gernot Rohr, expressed optimism that the fusion of young and old players will earn the team the needed result.
But I think that